I'm Thelma, 58 years old, and I've loved my daughter Jessica unconditionally for 32 years. I raised her to be strong, independent, and honest. But sometimes love means saying no, even when it breaks your heart. 3 weeks ago, Jessica asked me for $250,000. When I refused, she arranged what she called a special family dinner. What happened at that restaurant changed everything I thought I knew about my own child. Before I share this story, I'd love to know where you're watching from today. Please hit that like button if you've ever had to make a tough decision with family, and don't forget to subscribe for more real-life stories. Now let me tell you how a simple family dinner revealed the truth I never wanted to see. 3 years ago, my world shifted when my husband David lost his battle with cancer. 41 years of marriage, and suddenly I was navigating life alone. David had been meticulous about our finances, and the life insurance settlement left me comfortable, but not wealthy. I was careful with every dollar, knowing this money had to last through my retirement years as a former school principal. Jessica had always been my pride and joy. At 32, she worked as a marketing executive for a mid-sized firm in Portland. She'd married Kevin 5 years earlier, a decent man who worked in business development. They seemed to have everything figured out. A beautiful craftsman home in the Pearl District, 2 reliable cars, and annual vacations to places I could only dream of visiting on a teacher's salary. The first warning sign came 6 months ago. Jessica called on a Tuesday evening, her voice tight with stress. She needed $20,000 for emergency home repairs. A pipe had burst, she explained, causing extensive water damage throughout their basement. Insurance wouldn't cover everything, and they needed the work done immediately to prevent mold. I remember standing in my kitchen phone pressed to my ear, feeling that familiar flutter of maternal concern. 20,000 was significant, but Jessica had never asked for money before. She'd been financially independent since college, even helping me learn new technology when David was sick. Against my better judgment, I agreed to transfer the money from my savings account. What bothered me wasn't the amount, but what happened afterward. Jessica never mentioned the repairs again. No photos of the restoration work, no complaints about contractors, no updates on how the basement looked. When I gently asked about it weeks later, she gave a vague response about everything being fine, and quickly changed the subject. 2 months after that first request, Jessica called again. This time, Kevin needed $35,000 for a business opportunity. A former colleague was starting an import company and needed investors. Kevin could get in on the ground floor, but they had to move quickly. The returns would be substantial, Jessica assured me, and they'd pay me back within 6 months. This time, my hesitation lasted longer. $55,000 in less than 4 months felt excessive even for emergencies. But Jessica's voice carried a desperation I'd never heard before. She spoke rapidly about Kevin's career stagnation, about opportunities passing them by, about wanting to build something for their future. When she started crying, saying they felt like failures, I caved again. The money disappeared into their accounts, and once again the subject never came up in subsequent conversations. No updates on the import business, no mention of returns or timelines. Jessica's phone calls became less frequent, and when she did visit, she seemed rushed and distracted. Something had shifted in our relationship, but I couldn't pinpoint exactly what. During those months, I found myself lying awake at night, staring at the ceiling and replaying our conversations. David would have asked more questions. He would have demanded documentation references, proof of these claimed emergencies and opportunities. But David wasn't here, and I was trying to balance being a supportive mother with protecting my own financial future. 3 weeks ago, my phone rang at 7:30 in the morning. Jessica's name appeared on the screen, and I immediately knew something was wrong. She never called that early unless it was an emergency. "Mom," she said, her voice thick with tears. I don't know how to tell you this, but Kevin's company is going bankrupt. We're going to lose everything. I sat down heavily in my breakfast nook coffee growing cold in my hands, as Jessica poured out a story that left me reeling. Kevin's employer had been embezzling client funds for years. The FBI had raided their offices. Everyone was being investigated, and even though Kevin was innocent, his reputation was destroyed. No one would hire him. They'd fallen behind on their mortgage payments, credit cards were maxed out, and foreclosure proceedings had begun. "We need $250,000, Mom," Jessica sobbed. "It's the only way to save our house and start over somewhere else. You're the only person who can help us." $250,000, nearly half of my life savings. The number hit me like a physical blow. I gripped the phone tighter, trying to process what she was asking. "Jessica, honey, that's an enormous amount of money," I said carefully. "I need to understand exactly what's happening. Can you send me the foreclosure notices? Documentation from Kevin's company? Something that shows me the full picture?" The line went quiet for several long seconds. When Jessica spoke again, her tone had changed. The tears were gone, replaced by something harder. "Don't you trust me?" she demanded. "I'm your daughter, Mum. I'm not some stranger trying to scam you. We're desperate here." I tried to explain that trust didn't mean blindly handing over such a massive sum without understanding the details. I needed to see proof of their situation, needed to understand exactly how the money would be used, needed to know they'd explored every other option first. "This isn't about trust," I said gently. "It's about being responsible. David always said we should never make big financial decisions based on emotion alone." "Dad's dead," Jessica snapped, and the cruelty of those words made me flinch. "This is about whether you're going to help your only child or watch her lose everything because you're too paranoid to trust family." The conversation ended abruptly when I maintained my position that I needed documentation before even considering such a large loan. Jessica hung up without saying goodbye, leaving me staring at my phone in shock. My daughter had never spoken to me that way, not even as a rebellious teenager. For the next week, silence stretched between us like a chasm. I called twice and left voicemails, but Jessica didn't return them. I drove by their house once, seeing Kevin's car in the driveway, but getting no answer when I knocked. The blinds were drawn, and the house felt abandoned despite the signs of occupancy. I spent those days second-guessing myself. Was I being too cautious? Was I letting my fear of being taken advantage of override my maternal instincts? But every time I considered calling Jessica back and agreeing to her request, I heard David's voice reminding me about the importance of financial prudence. He'd worked too hard for too many years to have our security thrown away on questionable circumstances. Just when I'd resigned myself to the possibility that Jessica might cut me out of her life entirely, my phone rang again. This time her voice was bright and cheerful, as if our previous conversation had never happened. "Mum, I want to apologize for being so pushy about the money," she said warmly. "Kevin and I have been under so much stress, and I took it out on you. That wasn't fair." Relief flooded through me. "Oh, sweetheart, I've been so worried. I just want what's best for you both." "I know you do. That's why I want to make it up to you. How about a special family dinner this Saturday night? Kevin made reservations at that new French place downtown Le Bernardin. We want to celebrate our relationship and show you how much you mean to us." The gesture touched me deeply. Jessica had always been thoughtful, but this felt like an olive branch after our difficult conversation. "That sounds wonderful, honey. Just the three of us." "Well, we'd like to bring a few close friends," Jessica said. "People who've been really supportive during this tough time. Kevin wants you to meet them since they've become such an important part of our lives. I think you'll really like them." I should have trusted my instincts when something about her tone felt rehearsed, but I was so relieved to have my daughter back that I ignored the warning signs. We agreed on 7 o'clock Saturday evening, and I spent the rest of the week looking forward to healing our relationship. Saturday arrived crisp and clear. I chose my nicest navy dress and my pearls, the ones David had given me for our 20th anniversary. I even picked up a small orchid plant for Jessica, knowing how much she loved having fresh flowers in their home. Le Bernardin occupied the ground floor of a converted warehouse in the Arts District, all exposed brick and soft lighting. The hostess led me to a large round table in the back corner, where Jessica and Kevin were already seated with 3 people I'd never seen before. "Mum, you look beautiful," Jessica said, standing to embrace me. But her hug felt stiff, performative. "I want you to meet some very special people." Kevin stood as well, though he seemed nervous, avoiding direct eye contact as he mumbled a greeting. The 3 strangers remained seated until Jessica began introductions. "This is Marcus," she said, gesturing to a man in his 40s wearing an expensive-looking suit. His handshake was too firm, his smile too practiced. "He's an investment advisor who's been helping us understand our options." Next was Sandra, a woman about my age with perfectly styled silver hair and an outfit that probably cost more than I spent on clothes in 6 months. "Sandra is a financial consultant," Jessica explained. "She specializes in helping families navigate difficult transitions." The third person was Tony, younger than the others, maybe early 30s, with the kind of confident bearing I recognized from years of dealing with cocky students. "Tony is Kevin's business partner," Jessica said. "They're working on some exciting new ventures together." As we settled into our seats, I felt increasingly uncomfortable. The table was too large for intimate family conversation, and something about the seating arrangement felt deliberate. I was positioned directly across from Marcus, with Sandra to my right and Tony to my left. Jessica and Kevin sat on either side of me, but slightly back, like they were observers rather than participants. The conversation started pleasantly enough. Marcus complimented my dress and asked about my background in education. Sandra shared stories about her own mother, who'd also been a teacher. Tony seemed genuinely interested in hearing about Portland's changes over the decades. But underneath the pleasant small talk, I sensed an undercurrent of purpose that had nothing to do with getting to know Jessica's friends. As our appetizers arrived, Marcus casually shifted the conversation toward finances. "Thelma Jessica mentioned you're retired. How are you finding the transition from steady income to living on savings and pension?" The question felt intrusive, but I answered politely, explaining that David and I had planned carefully for retirement. Sandra jumped in with observations about how challenging it could be for widows to manage investments alone. "So many women your age fall victim to conservative financial strategies," she said, cutting into her salmon tartare. "They're so afraid of losing money that they actually lose out on wealth-building opportunities." Tony nodded enthusiastically. "The traditional approach of bonds and CDs barely keeps pace with inflation. Meanwhile, people who take calculated risks are seeing incredible returns." I glanced at Jessica, expecting her to steer the conversation back to family matters, but she was watching the 3 strangers with an intensity that made me uncomfortable. Kevin stared at his plate, pushing food around without eating. Marcus pulled out a tablet and began showing me charts and graphs. "Look at these numbers," he said, angling the screen toward me. "Cryptocurrency investments have averaged 300% returns over the past 2 years. Even conservative portfolios mixing crypto with traditional stocks are seeing gains of 150% annually." "Of course, past performance doesn't guarantee future results," Sandra added with a laugh. "But the trends are undeniable. People your age who get involved now are positioning themselves beautifully for the next phase of their lives." The pieces were falling into place, and I felt my temperature rising. This wasn't a family dinner. This was a coordinated sales pitch with my own daughter as the bait. Tony leaned closer, his voice taking on an urgent tone. The window for these kinds of returns is closing fast. Government regulation is coming, which will limit opportunities for individual investors. But right now, someone with capital can still get in on the ground floor. What exactly are you suggesting? I asked, keeping my voice level, despite the anger building in my chest. Marcus exchanged a quick glance with Sandra before answering. Instead of Jessica asking you for a loan that puts financial strain on your family relationship, why not make an investment that could benefit everyone? Put your money to work in our cryptocurrency venture, and within 12 months, you'll have enough returns to help Jessica and Kevin while actually growing your own wealth. Sandra nodded eagerly. It's brilliant, really. You're not giving money away. You're making money work harder for your family. Tony pulled out his phone and began showing me screenshots of supposed account balances. Look at what our other investors have achieved. Mrs. Patterson from Seattle invested $100,000 last year, and it's now worth $420,000. Mr. Chen from Vancouver started with $50,000, and he's looking at returns of over $200,000. The mention of other elderly investors. The promises of massive returns, the pressure to act quickly. It all felt like every financial scam warning I'd ever heard. But what made it truly sickening was seeing Jessica nodding along, encouraging these strangers to manipulate her own mother. I set down my fork and looked directly at Marcus. How much are you three getting paid for this performance? The question hung in the air like smoke. Marcus's practiced smile faltered for a split second before he attempted to recover. Mrs. Peterson, I think there's been a misunderstanding. We're not performing anything. We're simply trying to help your family navigate a difficult situation while presenting you with a legitimate investment opportunity. By pressuring a widow into a risky investment at a family dinner, I asked. By using my daughter's financial problems to manipulate me into handing over my life savings. Sandra tried a different approach, her voice taking on a maternal tone. Thelma, I understand your skepticism, but think about this practically. You're 78 years old. I'm 58, I corrected sharply. Of course 58. But the reality is, how many years do you really have left to enjoy your money? Wouldn't you rather see it help your daughter now while also growing for your own future? Tony jumped in with what was clearly meant to be the clinching argument. Plus, consider the tax advantages. Cryptocurrency investments can be structured to minimize your tax burden, leaving more for your family. That's when Jessica finally broke down. The pressure, the lies, the elaborate deception. It all came crashing down as she buried her face in her hands and started sobbing. I can't do this anymore, she cried. Mom, I'm so sorry. None of this is real. Kevin finally looked up from his plate, his face pale and drawn. Jessica, don't. But the floodgates had opened. Through her tears, Jessica began confessing the truth that tore my heart apart. Kevin didn't work for a company that was under federal investigation. He worked for a small consulting firm that was doing just fine. The financial crisis wasn't about embezzlement or foreclosure, it was about gambling. Kevin had developed an addiction to online poker and sports betting. Over the past year, he'd lost their entire savings, maxed out their credit cards, and even borrowed against their house. The $75,000 I'd already given them hadn't gone to home repairs or business investments. It had gone directly to covering gambling debts and keeping creditors at bay. The three of them, Jessica gestured at Marcus, Sandra, and Tony, they're not financial advisors or consultants. They're people Kevin met in online gambling forums. They've all lost money to the same addiction, and now they're trying to scam other people to pay off their own debts. Marcus stood abruptly, his professional facade completely abandoned. This is ridiculous. Jessica, you're making a huge mistake. Sandra's voice turned cold and calculating. Mrs. Peterson, your daughter came to us asking for help. We developed a legitimate business plan that would benefit everyone involved. Legitimate? I asked. You mean lying about your identities and trying to trick me into financing your gambling habits? Tony, who had been silent during Jessica's confession, finally spoke up with startling cruelty. Look, lady, you're old and you're going to die eventually anyway. Your money is just going to sit in some bank account doing nothing. At least this way, it might actually help somebody. The callousness of his words, the complete disregard for my humanity, crystallized everything I was feeling into pure, controlled fury. Years of managing difficult students and handling challenging parents had taught me how to channel anger into effective action. I stood up slowly, maintaining eye contact with each of the three conspirators in turn. This conversation is over. You need to leave my family alone, and you need to leave this restaurant. Now. Marcus made one final attempt at intimidation. Mrs. Peterson, you're making a serious mistake. Without our help, Jessica and Kevin are going to lose everything. Their house, their cars, their future. Is that really what you want for your daughter? I reached into my purse, pulled out $60, and placed it on the table next to my untouched entree. That covers my portion of the meal, I said calmly. Now let me be perfectly clear about something. My daughter and son-in-law's choices are exactly that, their choices. I will not enable destructive behavior by throwing my money at consequences they created for themselves. Marcus opened his mouth to argue, but I held up my hand. You're done talking. Kevin has a gambling addiction that requires professional treatment, not more money to lose. Jessica has chosen to participate in deceiving me instead of facing their problems honestly. These are their consequences to live with, not mine to fix. Sandra's mask slipped completely. You're going to abandon your own daughter. What kind of mother does that? The kind who loves her child enough to stop enabling her bad decisions, I replied. The kind who understands that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is refuse to participate in someone's destruction. Tony sneered. Fine, be selfish. Keep your money. But don't expect them to keep pretending you matter when you won't help when they really need it. I turned to Jessica, who was still crying silently. Sweetheart, I'm going outside. When you're ready to have an honest conversation about getting Kevin the help he actually needs, call me. But I'm done being manipulated and lied to. Walking through the restaurant felt like moving through water. Other diners glanced up as I passed, probably wondering why a woman my age was leaving such an expensive dinner alone. The hostess asked if everything was all right, and I managed a polite nod without breaking stride. Outside, the evening air was crisp and clean, a sharp contrast to the suffocating atmosphere I'd just escaped. I stood on the sidewalk, breathing deeply and trying to process what had just happened. My daughter, my only child, had orchestrated an elaborate scheme to manipulate me out of hundreds of thousands of dollars. 5 minutes later, Jessica emerged from the restaurant, her face streaked with tears and mascara. Kevin followed behind her, looking like a man walking to his execution. Mum, please, Jessica began, but I held up my hand. No more lies, I said firmly. No more manipulation, no more pretending this is about anything other than Kevin's gambling addiction and your willingness to enable it. Kevin finally found his voice. Mrs. Peterson, I know I've messed up. The gambling got out of control, and I didn't know how to stop it. But Jessica isn't the villain here. She's just trying to save our marriage. By lying to me. By bringing those people to pressure me. By treating me like a mark in some confidence game. I shook my head. Jessica, I raised you better than this. We didn't know what else to do, Jessica cried. Kevin lost everything, and we're going to lose our house. Those people said they could help us figure out a way to get the money we need. And what was your cut? I asked bluntly. What did they promise you for delivering your mother to them? The silence that followed told me everything I needed to know. I took a deep breath, feeling David's presence as strongly as if he were standing beside me. Here's what's going to happen. Kevin, you're going to get professional help for your gambling addiction. Real help from qualified therapists who specialize in this problem, not from people you met online who are looking to exploit other families. And if I don't? Kevin asked quietly. Then you'll lose your wife too, because Jessica is going to have to choose between enabling your addiction or building a healthy life for herself. Jessica grabbed my arm. Mom, you can't give me an ultimatum like that. I'm not giving you an ultimatum, I replied. I'm giving you a choice. You can continue down this path of lies and manipulation, trying to fund Kevin's addiction with money stolen from family members, or you can face reality and get the help you both need. We can't afford treatment, Kevin said. Good programs cost thousands of dollars. Then you should have thought of that before you gambled away your savings, I replied. There are free programs, support groups, payment plans, but there are no solutions that involve taking my retirement money. Jessica was crying again, but this time it felt different. Less manipulative, more genuinely broken. What if we lose everything? Then you'll start over, I said. People do it every day, but you'll start over honestly with help for Kevin's addiction and a commitment to rebuilding your lives without depending on other people's money. I walked toward my car, then turned back. Jessica, I love you more than my own life, but I love you too much to participate in your destruction. Call me when you're ready to choose recovery over deception. The drive home felt endless. I replayed every moment of the evening, every lie, every manipulation, every moment, when I should have seen through their performance. But mostly I thought about the look in Jessica's eyes when she finally told the truth. Underneath all the desperation and deception, I'd seen the little girl who used to climb into my lap when she was scared. The first few weeks were the hardest of my life, harder even than losing David. At least when he died, I had Jessica to lean on. Now I was grieving the loss of the daughter I thought I knew, while hoping for the return of the woman she could still become. I threw myself into activities that reminded me of my worth beyond my bank account. I volunteered with a financial literacy program at the community center, teaching seniors how to recognize and avoid financial scams. It was ironic and painful, but also healing. Every elderly person I helped protect from exploitation felt like a small victory against the forces that had nearly claimed me. I reconnected with colleagues from my teaching days, women who had supported me through David's illness, and who welcomed me back into their circle without questions or judgment. We met for coffee, took day trips to the coast, and reminded each other that life continued to have meaning and joy even after profound disappointments. 3 months after the restaurant incident, Jessica called. Not to ask for money, not to manipulate me into changing my mind, but to tell me that Kevin had entered a residential treatment program for gambling addiction. It was a 6-month program that cost them their savings, but they'd found a way to make it work through payment plans and Jessica picking up a second job. I'm not calling to ask for anything, she said quietly. I just wanted you to know that we're trying to do this the right way. How are you managing? I asked, careful not to offer financial help, but genuinely concerned about their well-being. It's hard. We had to sell Kevin's car and we're looking at downsizing our house. But for the first time in months, I feel like we're dealing with reality instead of living in fantasy. 6 months later, Jessica called again. Kevin had completed his program and was attending regular support group meetings. They'd sold their house and moved to a smaller place, but they were current on all their bills and had started a modest emergency fund. "Mum," Jessica said, her voice stronger than I'd heard it in over a year, "I need to thank you." "For what, sweetheart?" "For saving us by saying no. If you'd given us that money, Kevin never would have hit bottom. He'd still be gambling, and we'd have just delayed the inevitable while destroying your financial security too." We met for lunch the following week, just the two of us, at a small cafe near my house. Jessica looked healthier than she had in years, less frantic and desperate, more grounded in reality. "I'm so ashamed of what I put you through," she said. "Bringing those people to manipulate you, lying about everything, treating you like a mark in a confidence game," I finished. "Jessica, I understand why you did it. Desperation makes people do things they never imagined they were capable of. That's not an excuse." "No, it's not. But it's an explanation, and explanation help us learn how to make different choices in the future." We talked for hours that day, honestly and openly, in a way we hadn't since she was a child. Jessica told me about the months of watching Kevin disappear into his addiction, about the shame of hiding their financial ruin from friends and family, about the terror of losing everything they'd built together. I told her about my own fears, about the loneliness of making major decisions, without David's guidance, about the pain of discovering that my only child was willing to deceive me for money. "I kept telling myself that I was protecting Kevin, protecting our marriage," Jessica said. "But really, I was just protecting myself from having to face how bad things had gotten. And now we're facing it. It's terrifying and humiliating and hard, but it's honest. And honest feels so much better than pretending." A year has passed since that terrible dinner at Le Bernardin. Jessica and Kevin are rebuilding their lives slowly and deliberately. Kevin continues his recovery program and has found work with a non-profit that helps other people struggling with addiction. Jessica was promoted at her marketing firm and has become an advocate for financial transparency in their relationship. They've never asked me for money again, and I've never offered. When Kevin needed dental work they couldn't afford, they researched payment plans and charity programs. When their car broke down, they bought a used replacement with cash they'd saved. They're learning to live within their means and to see money as a tool for building security rather than solving problems. I've learned lessons too. I've learned the difference between love and enablement, between helping and harming, between kindness and weakness. I've learned that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for someone is to refuse to participate in their destructive choices. Most importantly, I've learned that saying no to someone you love doesn't mean you love them less. Sometimes it means you love them enough to protect them from themselves, even when that protection feels like abandonment. Real love, I've discovered, isn't about giving people what they want. It's about helping them become who they're capable of being. Sometimes that requires disappointing the people we care about most, standing firm when they're angry with us, and trusting that truth and boundaries are ultimately more valuable than temporary peace. The three conspirators from that dinner disappeared from Jessica and Kevin's lives as quickly as they'd appeared. I never learned their real names or what happened to their own gambling debts. But I think about them sometimes wondering if they're still targeting vulnerable families, still preying on the love between parents and children. If you're watching this and you've faced similar pressure from family members in financial crisis, I want you to know that you're not obligated to sacrifice your security for their poor choices. Love doesn't mean endless financial bailouts. Sometimes love means letting people face the consequences of their decisions while offering emotional support for positive change. Have you ever had to say no to someone you love, even when it broke your heart? Have you faced pressure to sacrifice your financial security for family members who weren't being honest about their situations? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below. Please like this video if it resonated with you, and subscribe for more real-life stories about difficult family situations. Share this with anyone who might be facing similar challenges, because sometimes knowing you're not alone makes all the difference. Thank you for listening to my story. And remember that protecting yourself isn't selfish when it means you'll be able to truly help when help is genuinely needed and honestly requested. Take care of yourselves and trust your instincts, even when they're telling you things you don't want to hear.